Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw News Brief. On today's show, we've got quite a lot of news. Just want to remind you guys real quick, we're going to be live probably around 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern for our NXT recap over at twitch.tv/Steven Larson. It's a lot of fun. Go check that out.
Yes, please.
And Larson, before you drop this first bit of news on us, we want to remind you, give this video a thumbs up. If you don't like it by the end of the video, you can take it back and hit that subscribe button so we can get all those subscribers.
Yes, please.
For some reason. Anyways, Larson, what's in the news, man?
What's in the news? So, just last week, if you remember this, Steve, just last week, WWE released several talents.
Yes.
Including Braun Strowman, more on him later, Ruby Riott, Aleister Black, and more. And according to PW Insider, there are some within WWE who thinks it was too soon to let Aleister go. This is what PW Insider had to say, quote, "In certain corners of the company, there's been some talk that Aleister Black was cut prematurely and a push that the company should bring him back. Whether anything comes of this or not remains to be seen, but as the shock of the releases last week wears off, there's been a feeling that of everyone, Black was cut too soon and was more the victim of broken promises and start-stop creative more than anything that he did on his own accord. Time to bring Aleister back."
No man is really ever fired.
Get it?
Yeah, that was good. That was really
back.
Good. You see, you told me that before we started rolling. You gave me that one, and I feel like you should have waited till we were actually rolling to get my true reaction. I was waiting for it. That was a good one. Right. Aleister back. He's
Aleister back.
Now. Tommy
He's
just
back.
beginning. Yeah, I'm of two minds of this. Number one, whoever is thinking this in WWE is totally true. Like, he's been the worst, the most wasted potential of a call-up literally in history. Even Bobby Roode got his own entrance and got to be a solo star the way he was in NXT. Like, they brought in Aleister Black as a thrown-together tag team with Ricochet. I mean, I know they did it in the Dusty Classic, but still, terrible. And it just got worse. They put him in a room for a year. Yeah, because it's a no-brainer. Of course, if they have the opportunity to, they should bring him back. As a fan, I want to see what Tommy End can do outside the WWE, because I have no faith that they'll bring him back in and use him properly. Although maybe if they do decide to rehire him, or if he accepts, it's going to be under the pretense of, hey, we've got a bunch of cool stuff that we want to do. Here it is over a year. Here's like the story plan over a year. Big re-debut. You'll kick Big E again in the head and then continue from there. Yeah.
And I would hope if that would be just one of several assurances that he would, require to come back. Not only is there a plan for next year for a story, but there needs to be as much a guarantee as possible in WWE. There's going to be follow through on such a vision, which is a stretch, a massive stretch.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing within WWE is like, yeah, sure. You could say, or they could say to you, this is what we want to do for you for the next year, 2 years. We got ideas. Look at all the assets we have for your Tron. Look at your music. I mean, he played his new music on one of his Twitch streams.
It's really cool too.
We have this lined up for you, but that can all change on a moment's notice because of the whims of Vince McMahon.
Yeah, I know.
So even if they lay out the red carpet for you, and say we have this and it's awesome, and you look at this and you say this is awesome, guess what? Could all be gone,
and you're back in a room
in an instant.
Yeah, I know. I know. I don't disagree, man. Yeah. I mean, this isn't shocking, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this is. I mean, we knew that he had his fans in WWE. I mean, Paul Heyman obviously was a big fan of his. Tommy,
I think recently he talked about Bruce Pritchard.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been very, very diplomatic about his release in everything, in every interview. He's a very positive guy. He seems to be just a completely likable guy, which just from a human character standpoint, why wouldn't you want to keep that guy in your company? It's bizarre to me in the first place that they ever released him.
I mean, everything about him seems like the type of guy you want to have in your company. He seems incredibly humble, incredibly positive, ridiculously creative.
Right. Yeah.
Those are the type of people you want to have in your company when your trade that you claim to apply is storytelling. Absolutely. Yeah, I know. It's the WWE doesn't consider themselves a wrestling company or sports entertainment company. I don't know.
The thing is, he brings entertainment though. Like he brings so many different layers of entertainment. He's actually very versatile.
I know.
It's funny because he had mentioned, I think, and maybe it was the Oral Sessions interview, I forget, that that Vince just never quite knew how to translate his NXT character to main, and we see that a lot. I mean, right now,
every time Rhea Ripley.
The perfect example right now is Rhea Ripley. It's like she still has the look. She still has the wrestling ability, but character-wise, they just have no idea. It's like, wait a second, what did you guys do with her in NXT? How do we translate that to main roster? Well, it's the same thing. You just do the same thing.
Just do the same thing.
Oh man, it's weird.
Don't write bad dialogue.
Don't write bad dialogue.
Don't write dialogue. Give them bullet points.
I'll follow you, Charlotte, in 2 weeks to heal. Oh my God,
so bad.
Anyways,
so bad. It's so bad.
Speaking of so good, Braun Strowman moving on. PW Insider reporting that Braun has decided on his booking fee for independent promoters, and it's a monster sum. According to them, indie promoters have reached out to Braun. They've gotten a 5-figure asking price for appearances. That means at least 10 large, probably in the tens of thousands of dollars.
I would think so.
PW Insider also notes that Braun is financially set, obviously, so he doesn't need to start booking indie dates. Although if somebody meets his asking price, he would consider it. It wouldn't shock me because I think even Tommy End has like a meet and greet scheduled. Wouldn't shock me. You can actually make, especially a guy like Braun with Braun star power, you can make your money back if you have the correct infrastructure. And you book him for like $25,000 or something like that.
Yeah. You like can a 2-hour signing.
You can make your money back on a meet and greet and then some. So it wouldn't shock me if maybe he went that route initially, and then maybe some of the larger indie companies were able to book him. Maybe, I don't know. That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. It would take some of the major ones. Like I don't know if GCW will bring him in for Homecoming or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they can. I mean, I don't know what Matt Cardona's indie fee is. And he has a main event slot with Nick Gage coming up soon. So I don't know.
I mean, Braun seems to understand his worth. He knows his asking price.
Yeah, and
people are willing to give it to him. More power to him.
Yeah, you don't go from making like $1 million a year, probably $1 million plus a year. And he probably has offers from outside wrestling as well, I'd imagine. I mean, he's a name. I think Braun will be just fine, but it's good that he's like establishing his own worth. Absolutely.
Totally.
I'll come in for $300. Braun.
Hot dog handshake. Power slam.
You're worth a lot more than that. I love wrestling.
Indie credibility. I'm going to do a moonsault.
Death match.
Speaking of, Braun, wherever he goes, is going to be quite an attraction. Speaking of attractions, seems like WWE is kind of plotting a SummerSlam Mania type situation because it's pretty obvious WWE is looking to make SummerSlam a huge event.
Yeah, man.
But could it be a show better than or equal to WrestleMania, Steve?
Only if they put it in Saudi Arabia.
Well, WrestleVotes are reporting that, quote, after speaking to a few sources on the topic, I've learned that WWE is 100% tempted to make SummerSlam this year's WrestleMania. All resources will be tapped into, is how it was explained to me, to WrestleVotes, not Larson. WrestleVotes continues. I do believe they want Reigns versus Cena to headline. Not sure if they've decided.
I'll be honest with you, man. I understand the thought process that, hey, this year's WrestleMania lacked 2 of the part-time stars they could possibly get. Well, even 3 if you consider The Undertaker as potentially a gettable star. Brock and Cena. I appreciated that about this year's WrestleMania. You make it about the people who have been there, and even Becky not being there, I kind of liked, because you make it about the people who have been there, who they've built the stories around. You don't really need all that extra stuff. You don't need Cena just to come in, do a one-off. Now, I'm not opposed to having John Cena and the head of the table from a storyline perspective, but just from a, hey, let's bring in names because our own roster is not cutting it. You got to swim at some point, man. The roster you're rolling with, you got to let them swim and let them headline and take the spotlight for them to increase their own brand for your company.
I think that was one of the reasons that WrestleMania this year, over the course of 2 days, was pretty enjoyable.
Yeah.
As good as WWE does these days, they set up the stories.
Yeah.
Some a little more haphazard than others. But they set the stories. All the matches delivered.
Yeah.
It was a fun 2-day show.
Yeah. Didn't
Not
really
to say
need,
that John Cena there could have detracted from it, but I didn't feel like it was necessary, you know?
Yeah, I know. I totally agree.
There wasn't a shoehorned Legends appearances or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean they did. You know, they do the Hall of Fame stuff every single year. You know, when Bailey got thrown down the by the bell.
Yeah.
But that was like a one-off moment. Like, yeah, I didn't feel like you needed Brock Lesnar. You didn't need John Cena. You know, but hey, if they want to bring all them dudes in at SummerSlam, that's cool. Just because I think Roman Reigns' creative is so good that the idea of him versus Cena or Lesnar would be great. Bobby Lashley, he's wanted a Brock Lesnar match for a long time. If they did bring him in, that'd be great. And I can't think of a better way to reintroduce Becky Lynch than there when they kick off fans again. That seems to be what she's sort of waiting for, or just, you know, enjoying being
or like what the company is waiting for.
Yeah. This is kind of shocking and a bit sad. Lio Rush has decided to retire late yesterday. He announced that following a separated AC injury. Which one's AC?
It's the
shoulder
thing,
right?
Shoulder. It's the joint that connects your shoulder to your collarbone.
For some reason, I'm blanking on the actual name. So he has a separated AC injury. That happened at Double or Nothing during the Casino Battle Royal. He's decided to retire from wrestling. He posted a lengthy statement on his Instagram about his decision, where he mentions what led him to retire. He said, "Since the injury, it's given me some time to think about what I want in life, what I want for my wife and my kids, and what's going to make me happy as far as my mental health is concerned. The timing of this injury has forced me to stop and reevaluate, and ultimately, it's resulted in making the decision to retire from professional wrestling."
So this is just kind of the end of his lengthy statement. It's worth the read.
It is, yeah. I checked it out.
It goes into more detail about the nature of the injury and what led him to make the decision.
Paraphrasing, like he thought it was just another thing that he'd get through and it wouldn't take a lot of time, but then he noticed that it was like his shoulder was just in pain, like his arm was dangling there.
He said like pretty mundane things like putting on a shirt. He had difficulty doing.
He's got kids, picking up his kid. He mentioned that, and it's like, dude, that's horrible. So. He also mentioned in his statement that Tony Khan offered his contract after Double or Nothing despite suffering an injury during the show. Tony Khan also commented on Leo's retirement announcement, saying, quote, "Lio Rush reached out to me today, and he shared that he planned to announce his retirement from pro wrestling tonight. While this news was unexpected, I'm glad that he's made a choice and that he's confident. That he's made a choice that he's confident will make him and his family happy. Lio is a great talent, and I enjoyed briefly working with him, and I absolutely wish him the best."
Court Bauer, sorry, I need to get this in real quick. Court Bauer of MLW, Lio also worked there, said the following as well, quote, "Lio is a brilliant athlete who made a difficult decision, but one that I admire for his commitment to putting family first. I, along with everyone at Major League Wrestling, wish Lio continued success with the next chapter of his life and thank him for sharing his extraordinary talent with the world."
Yeah. He also mentioned in his statement that because he's contractually obligated to, he will still probably make some appearances for New Japan Pro Wrestling to sort of wrap him up in that run once he's able to come back. Lio Rush is really young. He's only 26 years old. He's accomplished a lot in pro wrestling in that amount of time, but obviously a lot of great dream matches sort of left on the table with this retirement. He's very young, very young. Wouldn't shock me if we saw him back. But, if he finds another endeavor outside of wrestling that he really is passionate about, I know he's been into music before, then maybe we won't. But, 26, you have your whole life ahead of you. So, happy trails to Lio Rush there.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyways, we are going to do an NXT recap in just a little bit here. So join us over there on the Twitch. By the time this goes up, we'll probably be starting that off.
Yep. We got our takeover predictions too.
And that's right. Our takeover predictions are going to be on that show. So that should be a lot of fun. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Once again, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.